Non-Stop Rock Talk with Tyson Bryden. Welcome to Non-Stop Rock Talk. I'm your host, Tyson Bryden, coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, in lockdown. Today, I'm happy to welcome John Merchant of Ghosts of Sunset. John, welcome back, man. How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing good, brother. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed our last conversation so much.
Yeah, so did I. I seem to recall the last time we spoke, we decided that we needed to have a good old-fashioned discussion about something that is true to both of our hearts, that is the 80s hard rock era. I could say hair rock, but I'm not going to call it that. Let's call it hard rock era. As well as that, we were going to dive into a discussion about the Tragically Hip, as we mentioned, a band that you are a big fan of.
A huge, tremendous fan. Huge fan.
So before we start the whole, 80s hard rock conversation, I'd like to say something. I want to say something about the Tragically Hip.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. As a Canadian, sometimes it can be hard to love this band. Not that I don't think the music's great. It's just that sometimes the perception and how Canadians are, and I'm sorry, my fellow Canadians, but in Canada, the Tragically Hip were the band that all the people that were the norm liked. Can I say kind of the stereotypical jock type of band? It was all Molson Canadian beer, backwards ball cap, and the Tragically Hip. I mean, when you write songs about hockey, that is kind of bound to happen. If you mention cap, right? So, if you're Canadian, you're supposed to love all these things as well as Neil Young and Rush. That's. I mean, I think there's a Bible that says if you're Canadian, you love all these things. I mean, for me, as a person that never followed any type of trend, these were things that it kind of always got under my skin. But I love Canada, and I love the United States. And sometimes I think Canadians have a inferiority complex at times about the United States, and I don't know why that is. I can't say why.
Really?
It is. Oh. It is what it is. And I mean, I live it. I live up here, and I hate to say it. I'm not saying all Canadians. It's just sometimes it's like, those damn Americans, it's like, how often do you go down there, and how much time have you spent down there? So I'm going to leave it at that. But I mean, for me, hockey isn't even close to my favorite sport. I mean, as a Canadian, it's supposed to be. I love baseball and football. And I will say this, if the Edmonton Oilers were playing against the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup Finals, or the Arizona Diamondbacks were playing the San Diego Padres in a meaningless game, I choose the baseball.
Oh my gosh, they're going to revoke your citizenship if you're not careful, man.
Well, they might. But I mean, this is something that I had to say. It's something I always, I want to get off my chest. So, but it's not because I don't enjoy the Stanley Cup Finals. It's because it's not the norm. It's like I'm expected to love hockey.
Right.
And yep. I like the game, but I don't love it as much as I love baseball and football. To me, I love baseball because I can go in the middle of the summer and it's sunny out and it's hot and sit in a baseball stadium with a beer and watch a game and just chill out and relax. And people say, oh, it's too slow. Yeah, but that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean?
Right, is you get to slow down and enjoy it. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Sit there and that's mind-blowing to me down here. I got to tell you, the thing on the hip is mind-blowing. I will say that, when I would go see the hip here, I'm in Michigan. So when they would come down to play clubs here, and when I say clubs, I mean, a step up, not small theaters for the most part, but like a club, a bar kind of, a mid-sized bar or whatever. They'd come down. We'd get a lot of Canadian folks down here, and I must say, my parking lot interactions with those hip fans that would come down from Canada in droves were always positive, really great. Guys who would gladly throw you a beer out of their 12-pack in the parking lot or whatever it might be. But for me, the fact that music in Canada is sort of associated with a certain, not totally, and we all know that general statement here, but for the reason I think the hip didn't happen in the States, and I've said this before, is the music's too smart. I mean, so, some of those Gord's lyrics and the subject matter of the songs are complicated, beautiful and complicated. And there is, you mentioned hockey, and there is a distinctly, Canadian bent to a lot of those things, to those stories. And, I remember I was trying to figure out as an American, as a younger American, I should say, but they mentioned the CBC. And I remember, I go, what is that? What is, late breaking story on the CBC? I didn't know what that was.
CBC. Oh, yeah. Weekend.
And then I'm not a sports guy at all. So I had to, I'm doing the research, Bobby Orr, what is that about? What is this goal? Why, all of that stuff. So that
Bill Barelko.
Yeah, right, exactly.
50 missing cap.
Right, all of this sort of stuff. So that was all kind of, as a matter of fact, at one time, I honestly, my buddy and I would vacation in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and we had these hats we wore that we always called our 50 mission caps, right? It was a big thing. We'd go camping and carry on and what have you. But all those lyrics and those subjects, and for me, I can't imagine, Gord Downie was such a sensitive soul and inquisitive and bright and, really thoughtful. It's just so weird to me. I always thought they didn't break down here because it was just too smart. It had too much depth to it. And that's probably me just trying to give myself too much credit, but
no, I have such a hard time with them because I love the early albums.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I think that and we're going to talk a little bit about those, but it was just that, it's like, that scenario in the cartoons where the devil's on one shoulder and the angel's on the other. It's kind of like with them, it was kind of like that. It's like, okay, there's this perception of this guy listening to the hip and the more or less the hipsters, as I guess you would call them, the people that, did you, I'm going to the hip show on the weekend, just so they could tell everybody that they were
right.
It's like when the Toronto Blue Jays in 2015 made it to, if they were in the ALCS or whatever it was, and everybody could tell all their friends about them going to that baseball game last night. Not that they watched it; it was more about being there and telling everybody.
It was more about the event itself. Yeah,
that's right, and it's telling all your friends, and it's not about the music. Sometimes it's more about the telling all your being cool and to me. Hair bands that we listened to, it was never about being cool because for the most part, if you listened to it, you weren't hanging out with the kids that thought they were the coolest.
Oh my God, no.
Right?
You're asking for a fight usually.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I always sat on the fence with it. It was, and it's just funny in Canada that it is that way. And I've always wanted to explain that. It's not that I love the Tragically Hip. Sometimes I hate the perception of other things that go with it. And I feel the same way about Neil Young. It's, well, you're Canadian, you better love Neil Young. It's like, well, can't I not love Neil Young? Because I don't have to love him just because he's Canadian, or I don't have to love hockey because I'm Canadian. How about you let me make my own choices? I guess I'm a little bit of a troublemaker or rebel in that aspect.
Well, that's good. That's why, I'm the same way. It's like, if you tell me to like, this happens a lot in music, it's almost like someone says, hey, this is cool now. And people just go, well, then I'll listen to that. I've watched it happen certainly in the States with bluegrass music. I grew up listening to, some old bluegrass music, the Louvin Brothers and Doc Watson and, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden these kind of hipsters, just like you said, had kind of taken it over. And now it's like, well, every time someone goes, do you like bluegrass? I have to go, well, define bluegrass, And the hip, it's like the hip down here. For me, and when I find that other American who likes the Tragically Hip, it's normally a pretty strong bond because down here, I try to tell my friends, and this is probably a really bad description of them, but people go, whatever, the Tragically Hip. I'm like, these guys are huge in Canada, and I always try to describe their their magnitude. I used to say, well, they're as big as Pearl Jam in Canada, or any other.
They are. Yeah.
And then there's just something about that band. I don't know what it is, other than there was. It certainly wasn't the look. You know what I mean? No one ever really looked at the hip and went, like you did with your hair bands. You'd go, God, those dudes, look at, John Bon Jovi looks so cool. He's got the jean jacket and his cool hair. And the hip were never that. But there was something about them that felt so authentic. I never once felt from the Tragically Hip like, well, we better make this album to get chicks, or we better make this album to be famous. They just turned out thoughtful subject matter, that as a music fan, I like both kinds of music. I like music that is about cars and girls and Friday nights, and I do, and songs that the chorus just goes hey and whatever.
Yeah, something catchy.
Right.
It's got to have a little bit of an edge. So I'm kind of like, it's got to be catchy, but I like distorted guitar and like a big drum, and it hits me right.
It's
right in the heart there,
my argument as always, and I've had this argument with several people, and I've been criticized for it. I'm a tremendous Bruce Springsteen fan, and I've always called John Bon Jovi the hair metal Bruce Springsteen. And people get so mad about it. It's almost...
Why?
Well, I think it's because they feel, they feel like, well, you're giving, you've got one guy who wrote Thunder Road, and you got a guy who wrote Bad Medicine, or, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And those things seem to be out of balance with each other. And on the surface, I think they are. But, man, if you listen to Wild in the Streets and Blood on Blood and
Blood on Blood, yeah. And I mean, even Living on a Prayer.
Right.
It's a story.
It's a story.
Living on a Prayer is a story. It's about Tommy and Gina.
Right.
It's about being down on your luck, and it's like trying to scrape together your last few dollars, and we're more or less living on a prayer.
Right. And you could strip away. You can take, I used to say this about the band Warrant, and I've said it before, you take the distortion on the guitar down 50%, take a little reverb off the drums, and now you're Bon Jovi. If it sounds like Bruce Springsteen, the subject matter's there. The same subject matter. Tommy and Gina can be, anyone on Born to Run, or an album like that, or The Wild Innocent and the East Street Shuffle. It's just, I gravitate toward that. And even with my own stuff, with Ghost of Sunset, yes, it's hair metal, and yes, it's a tip of the hat to that. But we do spend some time making sure the story is sound, that the characters are developed a little bit in the songs, which is just what I look for now. And Neil Young, I'm such a Neil Young fan that I had a celebration of Neil Young, a band called Rusty Horse that was basically a Neil tribute.
I'm sorry I said bad stuff about Neil. I apologize.
It's okay, man. It's okay. I'll tell you.
He's a great
Neil
writer.
Young
great,
is
amazing
up there.
songwriter.
Well, he's up there with Bob Dylan, and they're two people
absolutely.
that as soon as you mention Dylan or Neil Young, someone goes, ugh, gross. Like, they're not traditional singers. You know that. I know that. No one ever puts on Neil Young and goes, hey, man, I'm really going to listen to him. He's going to hit these high notes vocally, and it's like Celine Dion. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's subject matter. It's the way they handle words. Gord Downey's the same way. It's the way they handle words. They handle the language. Gord Downey would say things in songs that, of course, they for the most part would rhyme and were melodic or whatever. But he didn't rely on cliche. I call it fire desire lyrics, where
Well, you think of the line. It's on Fully Completely. I'm going to get Ry Cooder.
Sing my eulogy.
To sing my eulogy. And then he makes it rhyme. The next line rhymes with...
I know.
It's so creative, right?
There's so many of those. My hip experience, my exposure to the hip, I was in a record store down in my old... I moved away from my hometown, but I was in my hometown at this record store, and this rock and roll band is playing over the speakers in there. And that's the only way I can describe it. It was a rock and roll band. And I went, who is this? And the guy was like, it's the Tragically Hip from Canada. I'm like, God, this is great. It was up to here. So I said, get me everything you have. So he got me everything, and it was a used CD store. So I got up to here and Road Apples, maybe something else. I go to the counter, I throw the stuff on there, I'm paying the guy. He's still telling me about the hip. Well, he's pointing to a picture behind him, and he goes, "Yeah, that's my wife and I." And I go, "Oh, that's cool." He goes, "At the 100th Meridian." And I go, "Oh," and I go, "Neat." Like, that means nothing to me. I just went, "Oh, neat." And then, I get home and I get into this band, and I just couldn't get enough of them. I just couldn't get enough of them. I just, they were one of these, and they were mine. I was down here. Yeah. I could own them. I didn't have.
See, I love that. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I love that. You know what I mean? And sorry, I couldn't.
No. So, but
I love hearing that.
There's something in me too. It happens to me all the time. I love a musician. I get in. I'm in at the ground floor, right? So I go, "Oh man, I like this. This is great. No one knows about it." And then people start to know about it. My wife gives me a hard time. She goes, "As soon as someone gets popular, all of a sudden it's like you don't like them anymore."
I'm the same.
And
I was. Guns N' Roses was that for me. When they got popular, because I had it when it first came out, and I'm like, This is like a street band. This is like the coolest thing. And I'm listening to it in my Walkman and hearing Mr. Brownstone in Paradise City with all these different vocals going on.
Beautiful.
It's just like, yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. And the same thing, you're right. One of two things happens, it takes off and it becomes a phenomenon. It becomes Guns N' Roses, or in Canada, it becomes a Tragically Hip. It's a phenomenon, a force of nature. And then for guys like me, we fall out a little bit because I like to be the guy who is at the archaeological dig, and I'm the guy who clears the sand and goes, "I think we have something here,"
Yes. I agree.
And then,
I agree.
And then when it's in a museum and everybody's looking at it, it doesn't appeal as much as that time I first found it. So I do that with bands. You want to support music, you want to tell everybody about the music you love, and then there's always this thing in me that's like, well, don't tell that guy, he's kind of a jerk, or don't let these people.
I would be the same. You know what? I want to make a point. I want to come back to Bon Jovi and Springsteen. For those that do not own the box set, what is it?
100 Million Fans Can't Be Wrong. Bon Jovi fans can't.
That's right. The version of Someday I'll Be Saturday Night that is on that it's so funny because it seemed like they changed that song to make it commercial. If you ever listen to the lyrical content in that song, it's pretty deep. I think there's a segment about the stepfather or the father more or less raping the daughter or something like that. There's something along those
lines. There's some darkness and some depth there.
There's some very darkness. Yeah. And it's funny because what they did was they took it, and I think it starts on C sharp minor or whatever it is. Or no, it's in E. Sorry, it's E. There's a C sharp minor, and there's my musician thinking back how to play that. But the funny thing is that if you listen to that original, once you hear that, you understand the original idea of the song and where they were going with it. And it's almost as if they had to change it to make it more commercial.
And that they probably did. I can see some, A&R person going, "Listen, John, this is a great song, but we can't sell this. People want to hear Runaway or what. I mean, even Runaway, there's some, a little darkness to those lyrics too, and the stories of the streets, and I still think I love Bon Jovi, always will, always. Sometimes it can be a bit much live for me. He's very
he's nasally,
and he's also like the banter. The banter has become even more. And I love Springsteen too. I mean, Springsteen's my guy.
Springsteen's a little cooler live though.
Well, he's Bruce Springsteen. I mean, that's really what it is. I think John is still a great frontman. I know the band's tuning down these days, to help. And you're not supposed to be able to sing like you're 25 your whole life. That's not how it works.
That's right. And I mean, you can't sing "Living on a Prayer" with that modulation at the end. I friggin' 55 years old.
I don't think so either. And I think that now the band has sort of become, it's Bon Jovi. You and I both being fans of this, what we're going to call, hair metal, I guess is all we can call it.
Yeah.
We're fans of that, and that's how we got to know Bon Jovi. But the truth is now, Bon Jovi's an Americana band or a roots rock band.
Bon Jovi, they should call it Bon Jovi Light.
Yeah, and do I miss those big, pick slides going into the chorus of Runaway and all that stuff? I do.
Oh man, and you know what? We're gonna get to that, but I just remembered that line in Someday I'll Be Saturday Night. My daddy took my innocence away.
Yeah.
That's the line, right? And that's a deep line.
It is a deep line.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you've got these happy chords with it. It just seems crazy to me. It's like, wow, it kind of took away, it made the song a hit, but it took away the integrity of, I think, the initial idea.
Well, of course, and that's because, the general public, the music consumer, some of them don't, they don't put in the effort that a lot of us do, that we're in there, we're paying attention to what you're saying. I'm not waiting just to get to the chorus. I want to know the story. There are things that, story inconsistencies in a song will bother me. Like, well, that was just in the past tense, but now they're in the present tense, but they never made the
yeah, why did you do that?
Little stupid things like that really, they don't matter a hill of beans, because you can say she loves you, yeah, 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 and that's beautiful. I like both things. Bon Jovi, I like I do. I liked Keep the Faith. I liked as it started moving toward what it's become now.
Dry County.
Oh God, there's some great songs, and of course, John and Richie as a songwriting duo they meant a lot to me. That partnership meant a lot to me. The vocals meant a lot to me. All the cool, the cowboy references. I like his.
Yes, I loved that.
My wife is a humongous fan of Blaze of Glory, and I think that's great too.
Well, I have the vinyl box set.
Oh wow. Wow.
It's everything but the new album. So it was 500 Canadian.
Wow.
So it is every album. So if you put on Bon Jovi, the first album,
right,
and then go through the evolution, I usually stop at Have a Nice Day.
Okay.
I mean, the album's okay. There's a few songs after that. But I even find that from Crush to Have a Nice Day, that you started to see, Crush was a great album. It wasn't a hair metal album, hair band album, but there was still some great rock songs on it, some great songwriting, some really, really good tunes. They were a little bit more poppy. I mean, It's My Life is on there. And
right. But you see, though, with Bon Jovi, you can see they're still playing stadiums, right? They're still filling arenas. They're still working. The reason for that truly is probably the evolution, the way they allowed themselves to do that. Now, guys like me, I still get disappointed when one of my old-time favorite bands, one of my hair bands puts out this new album, and they're trying too hard to evolve. They're trying too hard to... Faster Pussycat went through a phase where they were almost like industrial. It was Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, and I didn't like that.
Didn't
and
either.
I saw that live a couple times. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
It made no sense to me.
Right.
I mean, I think that was because Tame Me Down and Kyle from Bang Tango were together, and they formed a band called The New Lead.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Right, and they were doing that whatever you call that, the Marilyn Manson type of thing.
I don't know what to call it.
And should we mention Marilyn Manson on here, because he's kind of he's a bad word in the last two.
I know.
Wow.
Again, I've got a friend here who for 9 years worked for Marilyn Manson. That was his job. He was Manson's monitor engineer for 8 years, and again, you've built up. I saw, not to harp on this Manson thing, but I did see a Twitter where he said, well, these are unfounded claims and blah, blah, blah. When your persona is so controversial and outrageous, and, you're asking, in a way, you're going to be judged differently. I mean, you're just going to be judged differently because you've put out into the public that maybe, the public doesn't always understand fiction or story writing or, a third person account of something. They instantly go, well, this dude, he's a Satanist, he's this, he's that. I struggle to feel sorry for him. I certainly feel sorry for any victims because we're starting to see, think about the 80s, the hair metal we love. Think about how women were portrayed, how they were treated. Most times they were willing participants in this game of rock and roll, right? But it wasn't, it wasn't coming from a place of respect. It wasn't coming from the 60s groupie era where, Miss Pamela was a Band-Aid or whatever. She was sleeping with Jimmy Page from time to time, but she was ironing his shirts and she was making Zeppelin homemade food, and it just, all these things, I'm trying to think of, the ways music represented itself for so long, even in my era. And I will be honest with you, did I want to go out to Los Angeles, California in 1986 and be like Poison and, have hot and cold running women everywhere and drugs and all of that? Of course I did. Of course I did.
Of course
I was.
That's what we grew up with.
Right.
That's what we saw. That's what we wanted.
And I thought for a long, I can say that I never had a time in my life with music where I was playing it to quote unquote get chicks or be cool, or for me, I always say it was like I was called to the ministry. You hear people go, I don't know, God spoke to me and said, you will preach the word. And I woke up the next day and that's what I did for the rest of my life. My life has been, I don't remember it ever happening. I just remember from day one, all I could think about, all I could talk about, all I could fantasize about was music. I just wanted it. I wasn't happy just listening to it. I had to have Circus Magazine. I had to have Hit Parader. I had to know.
Don't forget Metal
Edge. Thank you, Rip.
Jerry Miller and Metal Edge. We have to give a plug to Metal Edge.
Oh my gosh. Those things were so important to me because the music was so important to me, and that's why the Hip and I won't be able to pronounce it. The Hip had a videotape, a tour. It was like a tour documentary.
Right.
It was.
I know. I can see
another road.
I don't remember what it's called.
It's some weird word like Eckensteel, or I can't think of the word, but it was the another roadside attraction tour.
Roadside attraction.
And
that's right.
Yeah. And most of it is these guys. It's the guys in the Hip backstage on the bus, going through toll booths, whatever it is. They toured by bus. They went across Canada. I loved it. Not because of the live footage, which is great, but I wanted to see those guys in the day-to-day. I wanted to know what happened day-to-day. I wanted to know what Gord was like when he wasn't on stage. And that's what the magazines were doing for me. That's what the Bon Jovi Access All Areas video did for me.
Yes, I still have that. Somewhere.
I just couldn't get enough of it. I just couldn't. And so for me, that's what music is. It's like my buddy who has, I think he's owned 5 CDs his whole life, and he goes, I listen to the radio on the way to work sometime, but that's like another world for me. Because I'm the guy who I would fight you over Faster Pussycat, in 1987.
Exactly. And it's funny that you mention that, because I have a full-time job. I have another job besides doing my podcast, which is hard to believe for my listeners, I'm sure. But I have a job where I work with a bunch of other guys. Like it's more or less a construction type of thing, and I'm not going to say what it is, but I find it funny. I listen to music all day long, and I get the odd comment. There's one guy that he'll walk in and he'll go, "Oh, you're listening to that hair music again, eh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Are you surprised?"
Right. Do you not know?
Every time you hear it on the radio for the last 5-6 years, you've said the same thing to me. And he's a huge Tragically Hip fan, by the way, but he's the stereotypical Canadian, Molson Canadian but that's besides the point. But it's funny because music is such a big thing in my life, but they don't understand when if I talk to them about it. I can't have a conversation with any of it, with anybody, with most of the people that I work with.
Right. I'm the same way. They want to talk about sports, and that's cool. And they want to talk about stats, and they want to talk about who did what, and I'm the same way. I'm not putting them down. That's their interest. But for me,
no.
I just want to. I want to talk about rock and roll. I want to talk about guitars. I want to talk about gear. One who will watch. I don't know. Say Rihanna will come on TV, and I'm looking. Yeah. Okay, that guy's playing a P bass, and I wonder. There's no amps. They're all going direct. I wonder what they used.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm when I told you about my robbery, and I'm not going to go too much into that. So I started buying the replacements for the guitars. So I replaced my Charvel DeMartini Rat Bomber with the Warren DeMartini Snakes.
Oh.
So, you're so proud of it. You're like, oh my God, you gotta see this guitar. It's like the greatest thing. Someone looks at it. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, do you not look at it? Look at it again. Do you not get this? Like,
what is it supposed to be a snake?
Yeah, exactly. Don't you get this? And then I had a Strat. I replaced it with an Adrian Smith Jackson because there was just something. There was more to it that I wanted for my playing.
Yeah, because two humbuckers, locking trem. Strat style
exactly.
thing. Yeah, killer.
Yeah,
guitars.
exactly.
Killer.
And the only one I ended up replacing the same was the Richie Kotzen Telecaster, which is an unbelievable guitar for. It's got like this big, huge baseball bat neck on it. And
oh man, Kotzen's one of my guys too. I'm not a big.
Me too.
I was always more of a band guy, more of a song guy, a little less of a shred guy. Sometimes if you were just, it wasn't.
He's not like that though. He doesn't play
no
shred.
It's more good.
Fluent, so fluent. And speaking of which, have you heard Adrian Smith
and Richie Kotzen's project? I heard the one song from it. Yep.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Is that all that's out? That's single. It's cool.
It's
Two
cool.
guys you would never in a million years put together. I would have never went, Richie Kotzen will be doing a record with Adrian Smith. But Adrian Smith is another one of those guys. He was in Maiden. When Maiden started to hit, the stuff like Wasted Years and some.
I love that.
That's Adrian Smith.
Adrian Smith. Yeah.
You heard Adrian Smith's band Urchin before Iron Maiden.
No.
Like a 70s rock band. You forget those. I forget the guys like Maiden and even Motley Crue and Rat and all that. Those guys didn't. There was no real hair metal or anything. Those guys. So they were. A lot of those guys were coming up on stuff like 70s rock, 60s. Zeppelin and early Aerosmith and The Sweet. And
UFO. So many fans are big. So many artists are big fans of UFO.
And
Michael Shane.
Huge band. And a band that, era, UFO, they didn't, they were like, there's a whole era of the Scorpions that a bunch of that I didn't get. That the Uli John Roth era and Michael Schenker and, you forget that those guys they came up on stuff like Thin Lizzy and T-Rex and The Sweet and all of that stuff is what makes up. So if I like a hair metal band, I got to find out what they like.
I'm the same. What band I love and I had to hunt it down was Girl,
which is Phil Lewis from LA Guns and Phil Collins from Def Leppard.
Yeah. I love it. It's a great album.
I think they had a mild, it would have been overseas, but they had like a single, I don't know if hit is the right word, but they had, back in the day, they had something.
Well, I don't know. I think there's a few songs on that album. Like they did a cover of Do You Love Me by Kiss.
Love. Great song.
My Number, which Lillian Axery did.
Yeah, that's a great
cool.
Lillian Axe reference.
Lillian Axe version of it. It's really cool.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, like Lillian Axe redid a girl song, which is cool. And at Hollywood Tees,
I think Phil Collins is in a band with or has a side band right now that sounds like Girl. Oh God, what are they called?
well, he's with Man Race. He's got a band called Man Race, with the drummer from the Sex Pistols.
Really?
The Sex Pistols.
Paul Cook.
I think the drummer Paul Cook.
Wow, I know Phil. He's another one of those, shredder guy. But a band like Leopard, or the thing people miss, like with Leopard and Jovi, those big bands, big arena acts, is you just can't deny those songs, man. It's impossible to say, well, those songs suck. That song sucks. Pour Some Sugar on Me sucks. Well, I can play it in a hockey arena right now, and everyone in there is going to sing to it.
Exactly. And people are going to be... My kids know it. My kids are not big hard rock fans, but if I said, who sings Pour Some Sugar on Me, who sings Living on a Prayer, they're going to tell me. Who sings Kickstart My Heart?
Right. Yeah. And that's what you want, man. I mean, those are the bands. Bon Jovi's still playing arenas and stadiums because of the songs.
Yeah.
Leopard's the same way. Some of the bands I was really into, they didn't translate super well. I loved Pretty Boy Floyd. I think that's a cool LA glam band. But I'll be honest with you, the song, I'm never going to go, well, Pretty Boy Floyd kind of reminds me of Springsteen and Dylan and Neil Young. It wasn't that.
Yeah, no, that's never going to happen. But you know what the coolest thing about Pretty Boy Floyd was when Leather Boys with Electric Toys came out? Was the fact that they did Toast of the Town by Motley Crue that you could never get a hold of, that you couldn't find because it was long out of print and they only released it on the original 45.
So what was it? Stick to Your Guns, right? Stick to Your Guns and Toast of the Town.
Yeah, it was Stick to Your Guns. So if you wanted to hear that song, you had to hear Pretty Boy Floyd do it, and which I always thought was so cool.
And by the way, it's a great song. It's a great LA glam rock.
Killer tune. I don't understand why that song never ended up on Too Fast for Love. I always thought that was strange, and I always find it weird that they took off Stick to Your Guns too, because it was a great song as well.
Yeah, and you would think at that time they were probably pushing it live, playing it live, giving out those 45s. So you would think people would have been, ready for it. You
know what though? I have the Leather Records pressing. I actually have two of them of.
Oh my gosh! Of Too Fast for Love.
Of Too Fast for Love. Funny story about Too Fast for Love in Canada. You could get it here in Canada on the Elektra label. What happened was Crew was doing a tour here.
Yep.
They were coming up here to Canada, and Elektra hadn't remixed the album yet. So what they did was they released it here in Canada, the Leather Records version.
Really?
Yes, I have a copy of it on vinyl.
Oh, how different is it?
Have you never heard it? The Leather Records version?
Nope, I never.
Oh.
Is it a production thing?
It is 100% better. 100%.
Really?
They're like on Live Wire, where the stops are at the end, where there's a bunch of stops.
Yeah.
There's clapping and there's cheering on it. They took out a bunch of stuff. Like if you ever heard, there's an intro on Too Fast for Love.
That's not on the.
That's not that Elektra
release.
And then
really,
yeah, and then there's other things. Merry-Go-Round is more 12-string on the intro with the electric guitar, and they buried that in the mix on the Elektra version.
Oh, I gotta find it. It sounds like something I gotta be listening to.
I will.
It really does.
I'll try and Dropbox it to you because I have it on.
Yeah,
I have it in the box.
Cool.
I have it in the box set. So
because they came up to you guys, I remember the story again talking about Jerry Miller and Metal Edge and Rip and all those magazines. They came up to Canada and were like, there was a big stink at the border,
yes.
All their stage gear and all that stuff. I remember here.
Yeah.
Of course, that's just adds to that.
Yeah, because they had the handcuffs and the porno mags.
Yeah. Yes.
Shit.
Yes, and they got stopped at the border. That's great, man.
So the other version I have it, they reissued it. 2000s. I have that reissue. It's opened, but I've never played it. And they redid the single too, which I had already bought. So I have 2 copies of the reissues of the single, and the one inside that album's I've never opened it. So I've never played that and never opened it. I have my other copy, and then I have the reissue of the Elektra Too Fast for Love version, and then I have the original. So I'm just...
Oh my gosh! You got it all!
I'm a huge crew head. Like, I have a gold record on my wall of Girls, Girls, Girls at my...
Really?
Yeah, that was bought for me years ago.
Are they when you're going your top dog, your top hair metal band, who is it Jovi? Is it them?
It's a toss-up, and you're not going to believe this. My 2 top favorite bands of all time, Motley Crue and Danger.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Danger. Wow, my buddy loves them. Well, Todd from Ghost of Sunset.
Yeah,
he's a huge Danger fan.
I think that was the band. If anybody should have made it and should have been huge, it was them. Especially, I think Screw It was amazing. I think the first album was great. I think Screw It was amazing, and I think Cockroach was the album that could have put them over the top. And unfortunately,
you think it was just too late?
It was too late. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I think the job that they did on that album, and personally, my personal feeling on it is if they had released it with Paul Lane, the second version, that would have been the one. The Ted Poley one's good.
A lot of those bands missed. It just, came at the tail end of it. They just, and what a weird time, I don't know what it was like before. I don't know what the transitions were like from, I don't know, let's say late 70s or mid 70s rock and roll to disco, or, when we went from to synth pop in the early 80s, and the synthesizer driven. I don't know what those things were like because I wasn't a active musician at the time.
Right.
But I know when the hair metal thing stopped, when grunge came in, when it was the new flavor, it was all encompassing. I mean, it was every band I loved was coming out. They were heavier. They didn't look as, the songs were heavier. They weren't as glammed up anymore.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses had a lot to do with that. I'm sure a lot of these guys went, we got to be more street, man, Motley, they kind of went through it all. They
were smart.
Did it all.
I think Motley's one that eludes me because I think that, I don't know if we talked about this before, but I think that the 94 album was amazing.
The Karabi album?
The Karabi album. But,
yeah.
But the way the band was evolving on Decade of Decadence with a song like Primal Scream, I almost feel like we got gypped. Like,
I would agree with that.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that song is amazing. And then you factor in their cover of Teaser and Rock and Roll Junkie. It was going very like bass oriented with the drums, really groove, and then playing Mick with the slide guitar.
It was almost throwing back to their early influences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Because
I just feel like had they not broken up, what we would have gotten and what it would have been with Vince and what kind of album they would have put out.
And then when, what was the Vince new tattoo and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I think they were just, that was a band kind of flailing, they were trying to find, they were back on their heels a little bit, trying to figure out what to do when you've been Motley Crue and all of a sudden you're not.
Yeah,
an arena act anymore.
Tommy leaves the band, and Randy Castillo played on that album, and
who I love.
Yeah,
I love Randy.
Yeah, and God bless his soul. I thought that the 2 songs on the greatest hits they did, Enslaved and Bitter Pill.
Yeah,
I thought they were amazing, and I was like, okay, if they went from Generation Swine, they went into those 2 songs. And I'm like, if they can keep it up, these songs are really, really good. If that's if they're going to keep that direction, but New Tattoo was just, I think it lacked. I mean,
well, and dude, they were. Let's be completely honest. They were Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Now, in the '80s, when that Excess was cool and it was all cool, and the classic Crue story about hairspray, fire, and makeup or whatever it was, that was all cool. It's what happens to a lot of these bands, I think, is we're guilty, I'm guilty, you're guilty, you know, we don't want them to, I don't want you to not be, you know, the first album, Faster Pussycat, you know? It's hard for us to let these people, I want my bands to evolve, I want them to mature, but I don't want you to lose the way so much that I can't hear what I originally loved. You know?
I wonder I thought Afraid was an amazing song. I thought it was a great song. I wonder what it would have sounded like had it not been on that album. Say it had been, you know, I don't know when, but another period of time in Motley Crue's career where they didn't make it sound so, you know, Scott Humphreys produced that album. He was like the Rob Zombie type of guy, and
he boxed Mick out of the whole thing, really.
Which was horrible. Like, how do you take Mick Mars out of the equation? Like, seriously.
Right.
Like, it's Mick.
And replace him with a synthesizer or you know,
this is Motley Crue. This isn't this isn't the new flavor, the Marilyn Manson, whatever you're doing. You've just taken Motley Crue, and this is their comeback album, and you've totally destroyed it.
Well, and that's the thing is you gotta. I think in this industry, you know, as a catalog band, you know, more than a flash in the pan, more than one album, more than a lot of my favorite artists from even the 60s, you know, we get to go, dude, Hendrix was amazing. Everything he did was, yes, it was in the span of these 3-4 releases.
Right. Yeah.
You know, nobody ever, in the mid 70s or late 70s, no one went, hey, Jimmy, we got to have something for disco, man. We got to have something for the clubs. Do you have any, you know?
Kiss?
You know, right? Kiss did it, you know. So we didn't get that. There's never an era of Janis Joplin where she, you know, I don't know, where she either, you know, tries to sing power ballad, you know what I mean?
They just weren't around long enough to be able to do that, right?
That's rock and roll for you, there. That's rock and roll. It's been said it's a young man's game. As an old man, I do believe that, you know, there's certainly some merit to that. The one thing that we didn't get is we never got to the Hendrix who maybe, you know, we saw this guy and we never saw him evolve because he couldn't. He didn't have time. Janis Joplin didn't evolve.
No, and the albums came out so quickly. They were forcing out albums so quickly, right?
Right. And you know, that's the thing. We just never saw. So the good side is we get to always live with Hendrix in our mind. He's got his afro and a headband and his guitar's on fire and it's Woodstock. It's cool. He's not Vince. Let's just say that. I mean, I love Crue. You love Crue.
Love them. Yeah, obviously.
Is it hard to look at Vince Neil right now? Is it hard to hear what he's doing on stage? For me, it is. I don't mean any harm to that man. And I don't mean, first of all, you know, it's no different than, you know, a boxer going out hasn't trained and who's overweight and can't keep his hands up. It's the same thing. I don't think Vince Neil needs to always sound like he did in, you know, 1981 or look that way.
Well, I mean, but Vince always wasn't the greatest live singer, and we all know that, right?
Oh yeah.
Right?
It amazes me when people go, God, he sounds terrible. I'm like, watch the 83 Oz Festival. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's awful. He's pitchy, and but that's what made him so great. That's what, you know, like...
Right. They were out there giving at the Oz Festival, they were out there banging out a set they banged out in clubs. I mean, I can see it. You can see it. Looking at them now, watching that Oz Festival footage, I can see their nerves. I can tell Mick is nervous. I can hear Mick, you know, hit that he's flat on one section and slides into a chord, you know. They're lining up and doing the thing and where they're kind of in a line, and I can hear the Les Paul pitch going up and down because he's moving the neck. You know, I get all that. But the thing is, they went out and they did it, and in 1983, there wasn't a whole lot. You hadn't seen it before. You had seen a real, you know, you had Kiss and such, but Motley were something different, you know?
They were, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like how did you what was that, you know, that Look in Looks to Kill video? It was like that Mad Max type
Mad Max, yeah.
You know, like that, I don't even know what you call that.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, it was. Remember those album covers, man? Remember Shout at the Devil and the pictures of the guys? It's like,
best, man. It was larger than life. There's only really two bands I've ever seen in my life that I thought that were larger than life, and it was the first time I saw Kiss and the first time I saw Shout at the Devil era Motley Crue, and thinking, wow.
Yeah, and they were. I mean, make note, they were larger than life. I say this about, I'm a tremendous Rolling Stones fan. 1972 era Stones, Exile on Main Street, that's my thing.
Amazing.
In 1972, 73, Stones are on tour. I'm telling you, they made their own laws. That whole touring party operated under its own set of rules, and it didn't care what Middle America thought. That's what Motley was like. That music, that hair metal stuff is so. The good bands from it seemed so rebellious because they were.
Yeah,
they were.
They totally were.
Dude,
yeah,
they. You'd see interviews and you'd see. You knew for a fact you never looked at Nikki Sixx and went, I bet during the day he's a stockbroker. You just didn't do that.
Because you
knew. No, I can't.
Or Mick Mars. Hello, this is Mick Mars, stockbroker.
Right. You just don't, those guys, those bands, they didn't operate like that. No. They were, like you said, we've lost that. We've lost a lot of that. I'm guilty of it. Everyone's guilty of overexposure, of giving too much, of sharing too much. Because to be honest with you, it's cool. Now I probably would go, oh, it's so cool to see, Nicky playing with his kids or petting his cat or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
In 1983, I didn't want that. I certainly didn't want to think, I didn't even want to think these guys had car payments to worry about or.
It's funny. That's funny that you mentioned that because I think about the bands that came out in that era. Okay, you think of Motley Crue. Always been dysfunctional.
Yes.
You think of Dokken, George Lynch, Don Dokken, dysfunctional. Rat, dysfunctional. Quiet Riot, dysfunctional. It's just
the reason is those people, they were in the music business forever. The music business will stunt your growth right away.
Yeah.
Especially rock and roll. It's a young man's game, and it's also, again, it operates outside the norms of society. The other thing is, dysfunction, those guys aren't all, no offense to any of them. We're not dealing with genius level people here. They're from the streets, a lot of them, left home young. A guy like Nikki Sixx has a history of abuse in his family and addiction. And so these are not, in 1983, the Motley Crues of the world, the Rats of the world, these are not super, what I would call fully developed human beings. They're just not. Because all they do is sleep all day, they rock all night, they go to the Rainbow, they get chicks, they do blow, I don't know who, the famous Motley Crue apartment, off Sunset.
Yeah.
I don't know who paid for that. I can't, I don't imagine those guys sitting around a table together going, guys, we got to work on this budget. We're coming up short on rent every week. It doesn't work like that.
No, it was probably more like you got a girlfriend. Yep. Who's got the best girlfriend? Who's got the most money? So,
yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure I was at the Rainbow and I met this chick and her father's a movie producer, man, and she'll take care of it.
You've heard Poison talk about it. You've heard Motley Crue talk about it. Guns N' Roses about. You had a girlfriend so that you could, eat. And we talked about that before, right?
Right. Well, right. It was the idea that, I think I remember it might have been Motley saying, oh, yeah, we'd let girls over to the apartment, but they had to bring food.
That's right.
Like you had to bring food to come in and ultimately sleep with a member of Motley Crue.
And which is hilarious. And I think we did touch on that in the last interview. And you know what? I will make reference of this because if Brian Weatherby is listening to this, he'll probably mention it to me that we've already talked about this.
Yeah, you guys are, when I get going on this era of music, it's just, there's so much depth to it for me. There's so many, and then bands like the lesser knowns, the Hanoi Rocks, and
love them.
Guy, and I can even go back. I can draw my lines. In Motley Crue, I definitely can hear Cheap Trick. I can hear, I can hear all that, the Sweet, and all the stuff they liked, and of course, Quiet Riot. We can say Slade and stuff like that. But I was not. Make no mistake, as cool as I want to sound right now, in 1983, I was not a big Slade fan. I didn't. I'm sure
No, me neither.
Barely knew who they were.
No, you're right.
But because I love this stuff so much, because we love this stuff so much, we're going to go that extra step. And those are the people that, with our band, that's who I'm looking to appeal to. I don't think there's chart-topping success in the future for Ghosts of Sunset. What I think is there's an opportunity to give something to the people who are just like me, who grew up like I did, who like what I like, who dig rock and roll and are willing to go, I get it. Yeah, that middle section sort of reminds me of Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
And when they would come to me and say, that middle section reminds me of Bon Jovi, I'm certainly not going to go, I've never heard of Bon Jovi. I'm going to go, yeah, we were probably going, hey, man, let's get a middle section going kind of like Jovi would, or, let's have that bass pattern thump.
Yeah.
Straight A, it's Fast for Love, That's because that's how we paint. That's what our palette is. That's what the colors on our palette are. They're what we grew up on. And I can throw them at the canvas. They're going to come out different. But my painting and your painting, we're all going to have kind of a same shade of red. And we're all going to go, yeah, that shade of red there, that's Motley Crue.
That's so true.
That black shade over there, that's Pussycat. Now, your picture and my picture are completely different. But those colors are the same, and that's because we have the same palette. And then I listen to you play or your band, and I go, oh man, I never thought to do it like that. So now I take that color and I add it to my palette. And it just means I can paint a more in-depth picture. It doesn't mean I'm ripping anyone off.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm some sort of, plagiarist. It just means I want all the colors I can get. And if my painting, I'm looking at my painting and something's missing and someone says, you could put, this color yellow right there, and that color yellow is, I don't know, Taylor Swift. If it makes my painting look better and sound better, I'll put the Taylor Swift yellow in it, and I'll be proud to do that.
It's funny that you mention that, because Butch Walker, South Gang, but Butch Walker.
Don't get me started on Butch Walker.
Do you like Butch Walker?
I love Butch Walker. I have a podcast of my own, The Narcissistic Music Disorder.
You do? I didn't even know that. Why aren't we pushing that? Okay.
Yeah. But every episode, organically, we will mention Butch Walker. Be it South Gang, be it producing.
The Floyds. Floyd's
anything.
Funk Revival, Marvelous 3, the Black Walls. For as far as Butch Walker goes, my favorite album is The Spade. I just think that's love that
great record.
I love it.
And I hijacked your conversation. So we were talking about Taylor Swift. And
it's funny because Butch's latest album, which my daughter bought me for Christmas.
Nice.
There was something about one of the songs, I can't remember which one it was, and on Sleaze Rocks, because I write for Sleaze Rocks, I had to do my top 5. Yep. That album that was my number 1, and it beat out Black Swan, which was Robin McAuley and Reb Beach, and I loved that. I loved that album all year until I got this Butch Walker album. But one of those songs, somehow there was like a chorus in it, and Olivier, I think he took it out of there, that I had written it in, or maybe I changed it, and I had actually mentioned that this is like Taylor Swift, but more intelligently put in, but it's got like this Taylor Swift type of chorus, which I think is a compliment to her, because she can write a killer song, and she knows how to write.
Dude, it's a compliment to her that Butch Walker covered one of her songs and played every instrument on it.
That's right, exactly.
It's a compliment to her that Ryan Adams redid a whole album of hers.
She's a great writer. Amazing.
Exactly. I'm not, Taylor Swift's a great example. Do I own Taylor Swift albums? I do not.
No.
Am I going to get in my truck tomorrow and drive somewhere and go, I got to listen to Taylor Swift? I'm not. Can I recognize a young, and she's still young, but someone who writes their own songs and people go, well, she writes about her boys and breakups and all that. What else is a 17, 18-year-old girl supposed to know about yet?
Well, yeah,
those
exactly.
Those
so true.
Those songs are going to change as she develops.
That one song that she wrote that Little Big Town did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a phenomenal song.
Listen, songs stand up, man. Songwriting, it can be, if it's John Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, and now Taylor Swift in the same breath as those people. Not yet, but it can happen.
I mean, as she gets older and as she evolves, like she's already got that songwriting ability, and she can write a great hook, and she can write a great song.
And let's be honest, she probably right now could quit turning out any music, could stop doing it right now and live the rest of her life, quite comfortably.
Exactly.
But that's what I think is lost in this hair metal argument, where people are, this hair metal's dumb, it's this, it's that. Well, it's not. It's, those songs about, Toast of the Town, and all that. Those songs are documenting that life. That's what it was like. And, Bastard, off Shout at the Devil and Knock 'em Dead Kid. I mean, the streets of LA were not always forgiving.
Well, think about the line in Bastard Pull Out Your Life, in goes my knife, consider Bastard dead. Like, that was street. That's the way that we lived it. And you listen to, like, Mr. Brownstone by GNR.
Right.
It's a song about heroin, but they were living it. Night Train, the same thing. They were living it. You know what I mean?
And that's what makes it, and that I guess that's, I need, in my songwriters, I need one of two things. I either need you to be out living it, which is great, or I need you to be the kind of person who can sit back, take it in, and process it, and return it to me in the form of a song, and tell me the story. Like, I don't think every writer on earth, every, writer of prose necessarily needs to have experience in everything they write, but sometimes, it's the Springsteen line, the poets down here don't write nothing at all. They just sit back and let it all be.
That's so good.
And I don't think John Bon Jovi probably, I don't know that he worked on the docks ever. I think he swept up a recording studio.
Well, he worked at Power Station and recorded at night, right?
Right. But those great writers have that ability to take those little bits and turn them into something.
Well, that's just it. That's so true.
That's beautiful. That's what Motley did, that's what Rat did, that's what Quiet Riot did, that's what, all those bands that people look down on and smirk at, ha ha ha, it's hair metal, or it's this, it's that. You know what? They were documenting something that was happening. Now, to those people maybe you work with or I work with, I call them squares or straights, these people.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense to them.
No.
But they've never wanted, and I'm not saying never, but they don't look for that. They don't want a taste of those experiences. It's like, I want to be able to know what that's like, and in order for me to do that, I get it out of songs. That's where I get it from. I don't read about it, I listen about it. And that's why you can't deny the songs. You cannot deny Janie Lane. I know we talked about him before. You can't deny Motley. You can't deny. Any of it.
You think Nikki Sixx, who I feel does not get enough credit for a lot of his lyrics. When you read those lyrics on Wild Side, when you read the lyric, even on Girls, 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 as much as the content is about girls, 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 and strip clubs, he's making reference to a lot of strip clubs, and he's making other references. And then you go to Dancing on Glass, where, you know what I mean? And for some reason, I think because it was a hair band, it never got taken seriously because it's Motley Crue. And another one that just drives me crazy that doesn't get enough credibility for songwriting is Bret Michaels. Because when you read the lyrics to Every Rose Has Its Thorn, or Something to Believe In, those are some pretty, Something to Believe In is a heavy lyric. It's a heavy my best friend died a lonely man in some Palm Springs hotel room. I got the call last Christmas Eve when they told me the news. And then he pours his heart out. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's always, for me, and for the majority of us who like that kind of music, and who, that's always going to resonate with me, because that's human experience, and that's what I want. Your human experience can be as simple as, went to a party last Saturday night, didn't get laid, I got in a fight, right? It can be that, or it can carry the weight of Bon Jovi's "Living in Sin." It can carry the weight of the song "Dr. Feelgood."
It's about a drug dealer.
And it's about, it's about how these drug dealers, this particular drug, Rat-tailed Jimmy, is above the law, dude. He's above the law. He makes the rules of the streets, and that's true. That's how that works, and it's amazing.
You know what's interesting about that is Nicky somehow was able to keep his street credit, like to keep that going. Still talking about the streets, and maybe it's because he stayed dark for so long, his addiction to heroin, and
right,
you know what I mean, and maybe that's kind of what kept him in tune with that. It's hard to say, right?
It's definitely hard to say, but it lyrically, it's painting pictures, and that's what, and I'm telling, does Pour Some Sugar on Me, it paints a picture to me. It really does. I got your number off the bathroom wall, right? Yeah. Pussycat. That makes sense to me. It makes sense to me.
Oh, it makes sense to me too. But think of Def Leppard and Gods of War, which was okay, the album's mostly a bunch of pop songs, a bunch of pop hard rock songs, but then you throw in Gods of War into that, and you've got Ronald Reagan making a speech, and Margaret Thatcher's in there, and it's more or less talking about what's going on in the world and the Cold War and all that stuff that is happening at the time.
At the time, I know, and make it work. Yeah, that's what gets me, is they could put it in and make it work, and for every, I love lyrics that are, let's drive the car and get the chicks and do the drugs. I love those lyrics. And I also, I come from that, the world of Iron Maiden, where Iron Maiden made me smart, because I could reference things that I'd heard in their music that I certainly wasn't going to read in a book, that, I needed presented to me in a way. The story of Icarus,
Right. Well, Megadeth was that for me on Rust in Peace, because there was a lot of topics on that album that were very, Holy War's Punishment Due. He's talking about what's going on in the Middle East. And, like we didn't have to read a newspaper, because all we had to do was sit down and listen to certain bands, and they would tell us what was going on.
They would tell us what, and you know what? The hair metal guys don't get the credit for it, but make no mistake, the hair metal guys were documenting life in Los Angeles, California in the 80s, the same way that when I heard bands like Public Enemy and NWA and the Eazy and Ice Cube and all that, and Ice-T, I'm going, that can't be real. This all sounds too violent and what police officer is going to pull you out of the car and beat you because of the color of your skin? Guess what? That was happening.
That's right.
It was happening, man. And it's like, I've never been, to prison, and I've never been wrongly convicted of a crime, but I can tell you that We Kings will tell you what that's like.
Well, David Mailguard, right? And a lot of I don't think it resonated to the United States, because people didn't know about David Mailguard and being right.
Right. We didn't have that. And a lot of the stuff, and that's with the hip, I needed to, I needed to do some research, my Canadian research, just so, we have these two countries, right? And I'm in Michigan, so we're close, and we could, certainly more so in the past, but, I would go to the UP camping, and we would just bounce over to Canada. We would just go up to Canada, and we had that freedom of movement, but for two places that are so geographically close to one another, there's a lot we don't know about each other's culture that a guy like me, I get through the hip, or I get through Neil Young, or I get through, whatever Canadian band there may be that I'm interested in. And the same for England, the English rock bands. We talk about the Cult and the new romantic movement that was coming out, and when the early Cult was around, my world just wasn't, the scope of my world wasn't nearly as large as music made it. And that's what I wanted. I want that from music. I want you to give me experiences that I won't. I hope to God I never overdose on heroin. But Kickstart My Heart will give you a feeling of what that's like, and that adrenaline and,
It is how he made that song, what it was with ODing on heroin, and it's just the feel of the song and how he did it. People don't realize when you hear a certain song and you're like, okay, you just take it for granted that it's just a song. But he had to come up with that idea and how he was going to make that resonate in the song to actually make you feel what he...
Yeah. To raise your heart rate, to get that.
Yeah.
Artists need to be, and they will. I bet down the road, it's happening already, but there'll be deeper examinations of this whole cultural movement of hair metal. I mean, it gets dumbed down a lot because what happened is it got so silly. It became a parody, and then, every bar band in my hometown, every dude in the band had, spandex pants and this and that, and they were, by the daytime they were, they worked at the insurance company, and they always looked awkward. You always saw those guys who never looked quite right on stage.
Well, like Mark Wahlberg when he went to work and he's fixing the photocopier, and the guy's like, "Are you wearing eyeliner?" And he's like, "I'm in a band."
Yeah, right, rockstar, exactly. And that was the thing. Is I'll tell you what. Before I could play the guitar, before I could play anything on it, and I just had it. Right. I was a kid. Then I was a guitar player. I played. Now I would tell my friends, yeah, I got a guitar. I'm a musician. I wasn't a musician. I couldn't even get anything going on the thing. But that identity meant the world to me, and in some small way, because I had a guitar and I loved music and I was trying to make up songs. Somehow now I was more connected to the Nikki Sixxes and John Bon Jovis and Bruce Springsteens and Neil Young, because we did the same thing. We make music. And no, I'm not Bruce Springsteen or John Bon Jovi or Nikki Sixx, none of that. But we work in the same medium. So I can only imagine it's the same, maybe I paint, subway train cars. I'm a graffiti artist, right? But somewhere in there, I'm connected to Van Gogh because we use paint to express ourselves. That's what music is. And that's why it resonates with the listener. These folks that are following Ghosts of Sunset and buying our music and listening to it and commenting on it, basically what they're doing is they're going, we're there with you, man. We're there with you. I get that. Either I love that kind of music and you're a throwback to that and I like that, or the story, or the song, or just, I got out of work on Friday. It had been a terrible week. I put on this song, and for 5 minutes, I didn't think about my terrible week. And you know what? If I did that for the rest of my life for other human beings, like it was done for me, then I'm done. I'm happy. I've made it. I've done everything I've wanted. If some person could go, God, it was a terrible week, and I put on Ghosts of Sunset, and I drove home a little faster, I had the window down, and by the second stoplight, I forgot what had happened at work that made me so mad. Because I listened to the song, and I started going, man, that guitar riff reminds me of, Faster Pussycat. And then I got thinking about 87 when I saw Faster Pussycat, and, me and Frank went together, and oh, man, we got drunk, it was great. It's just that's what we're trying to do. That's your podcast is just connecting people. And God, more than ever, without sounding too hippie about it, we've never needed it more. Ever. Certainly in my country, we've never needed it more. We've never needed it more.
I wrote, I mean, in my Sleaze Rocks end of the year thing, I said that I feel that once everything gets back to normal, that concerts are going to be insane because everybody's going to want to go to a concert. Because for the longest time, we just took it for granted. We just thought, okay, it's going to be there. I can't go to this show, but I'll go to the next one. Well, for a year, there hasn't been a next one.
Well, and that's more true than, that's probably one of the truest statements ever made. And the thing is, you talk about community and bringing people together and music doing that. The parking lot of those hip shows I went to, standing in the front row, next to somebody that I have never met in my life, who's from another country. That person is from another country. And yet, when the opening chords of Fully Completely come on, and I look at a stranger from another country, and I hug that person, that man, I hug this man, and we both jump up and down, it's because I'm not American, he's not Canadian, we're not this, not that. Hair metal fans, we're rockers, we're rock and rollers, and we want that connection with people who understand us. And if you know the hip, then you kind of understand me a little bit. Well, he's probably likes this stuff, or I love hair metal. I like rock and roll. That's why we put our uniforms on as kids. That's why we had our denim jackets, or we put our buttons on, or
in our backpacks.
Right, we wore our concert T-shirts all the time, and it was my way of going, this belongs to me. This is who I am. So when you see me come down the hallway, I might be looking down. I might be, I'm shy. I'm in sixth grade, I'm a chubby kid, but I'm also wearing, a Cheap Trick T-shirt, and so I'm a rocker, and that's I'm a little bit dangerous because I'm in a Motley Crue shirt. You don't know how dangerous I am because Motley Crue's dangerous, and I listen to dangerous music.
So cool.
and
that's so right though. It's so true because you thought you were badass.
Of course, I was badass by it's like guilt by association. I was badass by association. Yeah. I was Iron Maiden made me literate by I understood concepts like the Rime of the Ancient Mariner and the Flight of Icarus, and I understood Egyptian lore, and or I'm a Motley fan and I'm dangerous. I'm raw. I'm on the streets, man. Now, I lived in a small Midwestern town. I had to be in when the streetlights came on. But in my mind, and what I was telling society was, hey, man, Nikki Sixx and I, we run in the same circle. So you're probably not going to mess with him, and you shouldn't mess with me,
That's right. Well, for me, it was like Youth Gone Wild. It was like Sebastian Bach. And Sebastian Bach was badass. And like... You know what I mean? It's funny because now you think of Sebastian and you're like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of wearing thin on me now, but...
To say it's wearing thin is, that's a great way to put it. For me, it's getting embarrassing, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for my artists either. I
want my artists to grow up with me, like Nikki Sixx is growing up. Like, he does really cool shit. He says cool shit. He's always got something good to talk about. Yeah. Like, I don't see him speaking and going, I can't believe he just said that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because, and that's the thing, that's where the Jovies are, that's where the Nikki Sixxes are, that's why we went from a David Bowie with no eyebrows and red hair and platform shoes and Ziggy Stardust to the Thin White Duke era, to the Suit era, that man evolved and...
Singing with Mick Jagger and dancing in the streets.
Exactly.
And then Tin Machine, which was so cool. What's Tin Machine?
Yeah, totally. Pushing. Neil Young, love him or hate him, is the same way. He's going to be Neil Young. He's going to follow that muse. And if you're being sincere and you're being authentic to me, your authentic thing might be, kiss me baby or hit me baby one more time, whatever it might be. As long as it's authentic, I'm not maybe gonna get into it, but I'm gonna let you do that, and I'm gonna respect that. If you want my respect, all you have to do is be authentic. And
that's true.
for our band, that's how I feel. It's like, you can say what you want about Ghosts of Sunset. You can go, well, this music's stupid, or it's been done, or what. But what you can't say is it's not authentic, because I can tell you where those influences came from. I can tell you where their influences came from, and I can tell you what it was like in 1988 making live music, live rock and roll, when Appetite for Destruction was, a new album, or, we were there for that. And that counts for something.
And we were there, and I remember watching music videos on TV. Are you familiar with the Killer Dwarf?
Oh yeah. They're Canadian, aren't they? Yeah.
They're Canadian, and they're from. Daryl, the drummer, Daryl Dwarf, is actually from the town I live in. I don't live right in Toronto.
Killer.
Toronto, but
you guys, we haven't touched on. Now Rush comes up a lot, and I was never a Rush fan. I'm
not a huge Rush.
Although the guys, the Rush members, are probably, I would give anything to be friends with them. They're just solid cats.
Oh yeah, no kidding. They're just. Unfortunately, Neil Peart is no longer with us, but they as musicians, stellar, right? Just not
people I can tell I can tell they're great people, and they do think they make Helix. There's a band I loved,
Helix, London, Ontario.
If I see a band do something that maybe either plays with their public image or shows some humanity, I get really excited. So I get excited when I see Alex Lifeson on Trailer Park Boys. I love that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
I like to see those moments where people aren't so wrapped up in the whole thing. Like Sebastian is wrapped up in the whole thing right now, and forgets he's just I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band.
I just want him to be cool again. I just want him to be buddy, we really like you, and it's like we love the way you sing.
Yeah.
And I still think you're cool, but just tone it down.
Yeah, and you just want to say, hey man, we're pulling for you. We're your fans.
We like you.
We like you. We love you. Yeah, right.
It's like that little kid you need to pull aside and go, man, we like you. You just need to just back off a little bit.
We like you, except when you're behaving negatively.
Yeah, why do you gotta act so bad all the time? You don't need to be bad anymore.
We like you for who you are, dude.
It's not 1989. No one threw a bottle at you on stage. Just relax, man.
Oh, man. Oh, that is the truth, man. Oh, shoot.
So, we're going to do some questions.
Okay.
I got questions for you.
Killer.
We're going to do how Stevie Rochelle does 20 questions.
Yeah. God, we are nerds.
It's not going to be like silly questions like that. This is 80s questions, and I started this a couple weeks ago.
Well, and the thing is, you've referenced Stevie Rochelle from Tough and Metal Sludge.
Yeah.
And you didn't even preface any of that. You didn't even define it. You just knew that if you said Stevie Rochelle, I knew you were talking about Metal Sludge. And we've never talked about the fact that I've been on the site, or I know who Tough are. That's our problem. We're in this pretty deep, my friend.
Well, you know what? I love Stevie. Stevie's a great guy, and I'm going to give him a plug. And Stevie's like the hardest working guy because he's always selling Tough stuff.
Yeah.
Like every time I go on Facebook, it's like, oh, you can buy an 8-pack of Tough albums and my 2 solo albums, and I'll give you a free DVD. And I think that's awesome. It's like, and I have to admit, I own most of that stuff he sells.
Hey,
so
I saw Tough in concert. They came right.
I did too.
They were great. I loved that album. What goes around comes around. Is that no?
Oh, yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, they were great. Too late.
I liked Religious Fix too. It was a little too late.
Yeah, they were a little too late, but yeah. All right, hit me with the questions. Jeez. We'll go down every side street.
Okay. So we got a bunch of questions. I think there's more than 20.
All right.
So the first one, this is a nod to the great 3 Sides of the Coin podcast, because they always ask this question.
Okay.
Did Vinnie Vincent save Kiss?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, he brought. I don't know if he preserved Kiss. He definitely preserved Kiss.
I think so too.
Yep. Definitely.
Right.
He brought in the songs. Yeah, definitely.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, favorite 80s Kiss song. This is a wide spectrum, but I'm always curious because there's different... The 80s was so weird because they did so many
I'm
different
going to want to say something like, I'm thinking All Hell's Breaking Loose. I always like that tune, but I might even have to go I might have to go poppier. No, you know what? I'm going to go... Man, I might go Tears Are Falling.
Wow. Love that guitar.
I might go Tears Are Falling. And that's probably, I'm not sure who wrote that, but if I were a betting man, I'd say it was Kiss with some outside writer, maybe like
Desmond Child, maybe?
Yeah.
That's like a Desmond Child, Holly Knight type
Song Doctor for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Best Kiss guitarist who isn't Ace Frehley.
Oh, best Kiss guitar player who wasn't Ace Frehley. You know what? Yeah, man. I guess I would go. I want to say Mark St. John, but I never listened to it. Okay, I'll go Bob Kulick.
Bob Kulick or Bruce?
No,
Kulick?
I'm going Bob
Kulick. Wow, man.
That's cold-hearted, man. That's coldhearted. I'm taking.
No, that's amazing because he played on.
You bet he did.
On Killers,
yep.
He played on the Alive 2 stuff, the studio.
He was
stuff.
all over, but that was I was being flip. I'm gonna say, but certainly Bruce turned out a lot of great work with them. He really did. He doesn't get his props, but Bruce really. Vinnie Vincent preserved Kiss to get them the makeup off and get them rolling through the 80s. I think Bruce came in and really, along with songwriters, along with the Holly Knights and
Desmond Child. Yeah. What's his name? Jim Valance and Bryan Adams. They worked on Creatures of the Night, and you've got I can't remember the other guy's name, but
yeah, I'll go Bruce.
Mitchell.
I'll go Bruce with
Bruce.
I'll go Bruce with Bob on the side.
Okay, Bob. We'll take Bob on this side. All right. Pretty Boy Floyd or Ugly Kid Joe?
Pretty Boy Floyd every time, a million times. Pretty Boy Floyd every time.
Okay, Warrant or Poison? That's a tough one.
Man, I'm gonna say my heart's with Poison. Songwriting. I hate to say this. Warrant. Janie Lane is a better songwriter in my opinion, but my heart's more Poison. I was a bigger Poison fan at the time.
Cool. Best Motley Crue album?
Too Fast for Love.
Oh wow. Wow, that's cool. Okay.
I gotta go Too Fast for Love.
Dave? Too Fast for Love. Okay. Sammy or Dave?
Sammy or Dave. Two different bands. Always gonna be Dave. But that's two separate bands for me. I can love them both equally. For a band called Van Halen, though, it's always Dave.
Okay, cool. Sleaze Bees or Vandenberg, the two most popular Holland bands besides Golden Era.
Dude. Wow. Sleaze Bees. What was the Sleaze Screwed, Blue, and Tattooed? I'm going to go Vandenberg just because I like Adrian Vandenberg so much. Loved him in Whitesnake. And,
amazing.
Vandenberg.
I love the Vandenberg stuff. I love Vandenberg.
Yeah.
And the new album's phenomenal.
I was going to say, he's got new stuff out right now.
Yeah, Ronnie Romero sings on it, and the guy's killer, man. He is so good.
Yeah.
Bon Jovi or Skid Row. Two Jersey bands.
Bon Jovi. Love Skid Row, love the energy of Bon Jovi.
All right. LA Guns or Faster Pussycat?
Don't do this to me. Pussycat. I always
say pass.
I'm going to say...
You can say pass.
Yeah, I'm saying Pussycat still. They're just always going to be my band.
Okay. Poison's back. Cinderella, two Pennsylvania bands. Cinderella or Poison?
Oh, God, man. Cinderella.
Okay.
Bluesier, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so
these are great.
The offshoot of Cinderella in Philadelphia, Brittany Fox or Black Eyed Susan?
Brittany Fox. Okay. Yep.
Okay. Best album of the era that never got the attention it deserved.
Ooh, best album of the... Boy, god dang, there were so many that never got the attention. And I can't say Pussycat. They got their attention. This album would be up there, I think. What goes around comes
Which
around.
ones?
God, there's so many. The Tough
I know
album.
there is. The Tough album. Oh,
Boy,
that's good.
there's
Steve
so-
Rochelle will be happy
But you know
to
what?
hear that.
There's a lot of bands too that.
I mean, Sleaze Bees for me is in that equation.
Oh
I
shoot!
think that Sleaze, Sweet FA.
Well, and I was gonna say stuff like Heaven's Edge.
That's a good
they were
one.
great. You know who was great? Every Mother's Nightmare was a really good rock and roll band who didn't really take off. I also liked Shotgun Messiah a lot back then.
Love them. Yep. So you can, I mean, let's just mention all those albums.
Yeah.
So,
Good stuff.
all right.
Good stuff, man.
Okay. Good stuff. Slaughter or Vinnie Vincent Invasion?
Boy, neither one were much for me. Slaughter.
Yeah.
I probably listen to more Slaughter than Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Yeah.
Okay.
Slaughter.
Best Ace Frehley solo album.
Boy, that's tough. His actual Kiss solo album I really, really liked. But if we're going like later Frehley's Comet era,
Yeah.
What was the first one? It was just self-titled.
Ace Frehley's
Yep, I'll go that one. I like that album.
Okay, cool album. All right, best 80s tour, like we're talking like Motley, Tesla, Bon Jovi, Skid Row, Bon Jovi, Cinderella, Guns, Skid Row.
Oh my gosh, best 80s boy.
So the double bill.
The double bill with so many good ones. I mean, Rat and Poison were great. Saw that show.
Cool.
I loved 86. I saw David Lee Roth and Cinderella. That was really good. Boy, there's so many good ones. The Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour. That was Warrant and Firehouse and Trickster.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so many good ones. That's a tough one. But it's hard to pass too. You forget the Monsters of Rock tour was out there. Van Halen, Scorps, all
Yeah.
That went around with Metallica and stuff.
Dokken, Kingdom Come.
I don't know, man. I'm probably gonna hang back and do I'll do Rat and Poison.
Cool. I mean, one for me that I didn't see the tour. One of the ones my biggest regret of a tour that I never got to see was the Girls, Girls, Girls tour with Motley Crue and Whitesnake.
Yeah, I know that Motley, those guys were kind of always down on Whitesnake because they were a little more professional and maybe weren't as raw sounding, but I bet that was a great tour. Though I will tell you this, I'll bet you Whitesnake was crushing them every night. I bet Motley had more fans and were rocking, but musically, I'll bet you Whitesnake was just mopping the floor with them. I hate to say that.
And you're probably right. I mean, when Whitesnake headlined and had Great White as their opener,
yeah,
that was probably quite the show as well.
I saw that tour. Yep. There was a third band. You know who I saw? I saw Whitesnake, Great White, and White Lion.
No.
Yeah.
That's a lot of white.
That was a lot
Did
of
they
white.
call it the White Tour?
No, but they
the White Tour?
They should have, but they didn't.
Should have.
Oh man, these are great questions, man.
Or they should have called it the Black Tour.
Oh yes, that would have been even better. Yeah. The Blackout Tour.
The Blackout Tour. All right, so Junkyard or Little Caesar?
Junkyard. Though both bands, Tim Mosier from Junkyard played on another rock and roll show by Ghost of Sunset. But on our upcoming album, there's a member of Little Caesar. Mark Tremelgia is on it.
Yes. Okay, and he played with Mark Knight.
Yes, he's killer. And Mark,
he's a killer.
You know what I gotta say too? Mark Knight plays on our new stuff too, and Mark's solo stuff is really cool. It's Americana, rootsy. Mark's cool. He's a cool guy. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Mark is coming on the show soon.
Oh, please!
Mark Knight is coming on the show.
Yes. Very, very, very cool. But yeah, I'm gonna go Junkyard. I like that band a lot.
Okay. All right, Mechanical Resonance or the Great Radio Controversy?
You're going to be mad at me. I'm going to go Great Radio Controversy.
Why would I be mad at you? I love that album, man.
It's so hard.
It's
so hard.
I know. It is. Those are two phenomenal albums.
But you know what? I got a lot of love for Psychotic Supper in my heart, too. A lot of.
Me too, man. That's why I don't add it though, because to me that's the best album. So I don't put it. It's like the pinnacle Tesla album. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'll go Great Radio Controversy. That's killer.
Best Poison album.
best point musically, Native Tongue.
Yes.
For giving me what Poison really is, the first Poison album. What's it? Look what the Cat Dragged In. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's simple, sleazy, straightforward. Yeah. Oh man, God.
All right. Name 3 bands that Vivian Campbell has played.
Oh, Dio, Def Leppard, Whitesnake, Thin Lizzy.
Nice.
Gosh, he's been in a bunch of them.
There's 2 more that are kind of like that. I mean, both of them he's playing in again.
Well,
one he's playing.
He was in Lizzy, Leopard, Dio. He's got his band now, The Last in Line.
There we go. Yeah, and the River Dogs.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, and remember he played with Lou Gramm and Shadow King as well.
That's a long time ago.
A long time ago, right?
Wow, good one. Holy cow, dude.
And then the one, Sweet Savage, was the first band that was a new wave of British heavy metal band that he played in as well before he...
I didn't know that. That I did not know.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Best.
Wow, good one.
Thanks, man. Best Whitesnake lineup.
Oh, boy. That's hilarious. And the reason it's hilarious is I just was back in a wormhole a week or two ago, and I was heavy on John Sykes, Neil Murray, Cozy Powell, David Coverdale.
Cool. Neil Murray's a killer bass player.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think who was on keys for that.
John Lord?
Yes, I think it was John Lord.
And then he left.
I love that. I don't know what era you would call that. To me, it's kind of slided in era.
But it's slided in after. Yeah, it's before 87 album. Yeah.
Oh, they're great. They're great.
All right. So,
oh man, good question.
So here's another one for you: South Gang or Tough?
Oh man, I love Butch Walker so much. Tough. I listen to more Tough than South Gang. Definitely Tough, but Butch Walker's a hero.
Yeah, Butch is the best. Okay, Bang Tango or Vain?
Oh, dude.
That's a tough one because they're very similar, very different, right?
All right, Bang Tango or Vain? Love Hate. No,
that's okay if you answer Love Hate.
I'm gonna go Vain. Because I love No Respect. I think that's a great album.
Oh, it's amazing. But
Tango,
I have Psycho Cafe.
They were better. Tango were better music. Bang Tango was a band made up of pretty killer musicians musically, and they were innovative, and they were pushing. They weren't just a hair band. Bang Tango wasn't just a killer band.
They were kind of. I remember when they came out in the Power Hour, Much Music Power Hour played them, and they were like, this is kind of like the next Cult. They were kind of. They were on that cutting edge. They were just like kind of psychedelic. They were just a cool band.
They heard, and Kyle was such a killer bass player, you know. So there was that pop. He could play and pop and slap and fit it in those songs so well. And Kyle Stevens and Mark Knight were one of my killer. Oh man,
the drums and Joe Lestat.
Yeah, great band.
Amazing band. Yeah. So Vixen, or Girls' School.
Vixen. I listen to more Vixen than Girls' School. Yeah, Vixen.
I still love Vixen. Yeah. Man. Britt Lightning is the new guitar player, and she is so good. I really like her.
Pop, just a great pop, metal band. All could play. Right. Roxy on the drums. Killer.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. So, earlier 80s, Quiet Riot or Rat?
Oh, nostalgia will say Quiet Riot. Quiet Riot. Metal Health was such a huge album to me. It was huge. But, longevity, I would go Rat. I thought Rat put out more quality albums than Quiet Riot did. But
I love Way Cool Jr. I just
dude,
it's just like that's Warren at his Warren DeMartini at his finest. Who's
a monster guitar player? You don't hear his name enough,
and you should.
But Warren DeMartini should be up there. You should be anytime you're talking Jakey Lee, George Lynch, DeMartini should be in there. Eddie Van Halen, that West Coast sound.
Yes.
DeMartini, yeah, killer.
I love Warren. Okay, feelings on the current Rat lineup. Minus Warren DeMartini.
Well, and now the current, there's Steven and no one. Oh, no, it's Steven and Juan.
Juan, yes.
So I will say this. Steven, in videos I've heard recently, really sounds like he's back trying to get his game together, and I'm super glad for that. I was worried about him for a while. Juan, should not be discounted as a singer. He can sing fantastic backup vocals,
yes. Yep.
Great bass lines. Back in the day, fantastic performer, had his own style, wrote. And the guys they got playing for him are all quality musicians. Blotzer had a version of his, Bobby Blotzer's
Mitch
rap.
Berry was in it briefly.
We're all great musicians, so I can't, there's no complaints there. But yeah, I think the current lineup is what it is. But we have enough living members of Rat where I'd like to see him get past that and get on with things.
Yeah, if Quiet Riot can go out with no original members, with nobody, and people will still go see them, then Rat can get it together with Warren and have Carlos play rhythm guitar, because Carlos Infestation was an amazing album. And
I know.
Right? And have them go out and but Steven came out last week and said he would love to do one more album
with the original lineup.
With the original
Put Carlos in there and get it. Here's keeping my fingers crossed. They could do something. They could do something cool. They could be that added band. They had Joan Jett and the Blackhearts on the Def Leppard and Poison tour.
Imagine Rat with the original on that tour. That would be
that'd be a great spot for him.
And Warren's still got the riffs. He's still got
all of them, dude. Steven is probably the weakest link, but that's just time and age.
Yeah, that's. He was never great.
Nope. And his health, when he's sober and focused, he's still doing okay and he's a legend in this game. So, Yep, let's get the original Rat back together.
Okay, I'm in. Let's make it happen.
All right.
So Don Dokken, Up From the Ashes, or Lynch Mob, Wicked Sensation.
Lynch Mob, Wicked Sensation.
Amazing album.
Every time.
I'm with you on. I love Up From the Ashes. I love John Norum and Billy White's guitar playing.
Yeah. John Norum was in Europe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but Wicked Sensation, man.
Just the opening riff. Now, I will say this. I have the reimagined version of Lynch Mob, Wicked Sensation.
I don't feel great about it. How is it?
It's horrible.
Yeah, good.
It was a big disappointment. So
yeah, no. Why would you remake Wicked Sensation? It's great the way it was.
I thought maybe they were remaking it the same because they couldn't get the rights from Elektra for it. So some bands do that where they can't get the rights. A political thing. So they just re-record the album. No, this is rehash. This is like Bon Jovi. This Left Feels Right, but worse.
I'm not in. Yeah. But Wicked Sensation, every day. Love it.
No Bed of Roses is my absolute favorite song on that album. I love that song.
Saw that tour. They were so good. They were so good.
I envy you for that. Okay. Where was Sweet F.A. from?
Oh, my God. Sweet F.A. I'm going to be sad that I have no idea. What is it?
Indiana.
Really?
Yeah, it was it's such a weird thing, and I think it's like Indianapolis or.
Really? Made it that far?
Yeah, it's such a weird thing because you didn't have many bands. Like you had Enough's Enough from Chicago. You had your bands from New York. I guess Dirty Licks came from Erie.
But you didn't get a lot of bands from. You didn't get a lot from middle America like
That's
that.
That's right. Black and Blue came from Portland, but they moved to L.A.
Yeah. Right? See, a lot of those bands did that. You didn't get a lot. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And they made a mark.
Yeah, and I love Rhythm of Action. I love that. I still love that song. I love Rhythm of Action. I thought that was a killer tune. That's one of those ones that probably could have made it. That should have done well. So.
Timing, and who they were putting money behind.
Last one. And we've been on here for a long time. I'm so sorry.
I know, dude. I know you can. You
so
can cut
good.
it down, I'm sure.
All right. Best replacement member album in the 90s, which means like your Motley Crue, Poison, Native Tongue, Warrant, Ultraphobic, or Belly to Belly, Danger Danger, Cockroach, like something, like...
No, I've got it already.
All right.
And you named it. It's Native Tongue.
Cool.
It's Native Tongue. Native Tongue is like... I know they were trying to mature. I know they had Richie in there. Richie can sing. He can play. I loved Native Tongue. I have a concert video of them playing. It's called 7 Days Live.
I have that too. In Brazil.
Dude, it's all the Native Tongue songs are great. All the old Poison songs sound... I don't like them.
No, me neither. I hate it.
And I love Richie Kotzen. I love it.
Like he didn't play. It was like Ride the Wind. It's like, did you even happen to listen to the guitar solo?
Or did you just... I mean, and, CeCe wasn't a horrible player at all. He was more Johnny Thunders than, Paul Gilbert. But, dude, he came up with some catchy stuff.
I know.
And Richie didn't even attempt it.
No, it was like... No wonder you got kicked out of the band. Well, I mean, you slept with the drummer's girlfriend, but, I mean...
Right, and that's always going to be a trouble.
Yeah, that usually causes problems.
Yeah, he was sweep picking all over. Yeah, sweep picks, those big sweep arpeggios that, CeCe couldn't have done if he had to.
Yeah, exactly.
But... Oh, man, great questions, dude.
Oh, geez. So good.
Yeah, Native Tongue.
Native Tongue. That's a good choice. For me, it would be Danger Danger, Cockroach, but Native Tongue's a close one. Like, I love Strike Up the Band and Body Talk. I mean, there's just some killer tunes on it. Oh, 7 Days Over You, which is a killer song.
Yeah, that was a good album. It was never going to hit. It would never happen. It just wasn't going to happen.
It was a hit.
No matter how hard they tried.
I thought it was a hit for me.
Me too.
I was like, wow, this is... I love this, right? So...
Yeah, me too. But it for the record-buying public, if you're a Poison fan, it didn't sound like Poison. And if you were a brand new fan, it was still Poison. That was the problem.
That's right.
That was the problem. Yeah, killer, man. Yeah.
John, that was so great. Now, Ghost of Sunset. What's going on with the EP?
What's going on? EP will be out this Friday. So today we're recording this on February 2nd. So this Friday, the full EP will be out, headed west on Golden Robot Records. Working on, we're 8 or 9 songs into a full-length follow-up now.
Nice.
With members of bands like Bang Tango and Little Caesar and Enough's Enough and London Choir Boys, and so we're pulling in again, doing the same thing, just kind of a thank you to all these folks that gave us so much. So these guest solo spots are just a chance for us to, reach out to these people that have given us so much and just say, hey, we, thank you, and we'd love to have you join us. And when they do, it's Stacy Blades, who of course was in Rock's Gang, and we've had just great success with these guys, and they've all been, and we've gotten it's the opportunity to get into that circle and start to kind of become friends with some of these guys and have some conversations that you couldn't imagine yourself having when you were 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is Stacy Blades not Canadian from like Calgary? He was in a band.
Oh, I don't know. I know him from, he was in the Florida area when he was in Rock's Gang.
Yeah, he was in Rock's Gang, and he was in LA Guns.
Yeah, and he's got a new band right now. I think they're called, if I get this wrong, I'm going to be so embarrassed. I think they're called Chasing Westward or something. They're pretty cool. Check them out.
I'll have to check that out. No, that's cool. Rock's Gang wasn't, not many bands from Florida. Sabotage, Rock's Gang, that I can't think of it.
Oh, Sabotage. Right? No, I don't think there were. And, I'm sure listeners are going to point out all these bands that came from these little pockets of the world, and that'll be cool too, But, we equate this whole scene with one strip of highway in Los Angeles, California,
Well, I mean, that's where most of the majority of the bands came from.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
just
where you went.
Pockets, and and I'm sure all those bands, when they went to LA, they loved being there. So, so it's all good.
It doesn't sound like I've listened to the music. I followed it, since it came out, and to Sunset Strip in 1981 through 1989 seemed like a pretty cool place. I feel like I could have got comfortable there myself.
I know. I wish I had.
Of course, I'd be dead by now too. I should mention that. I'd be long
well, I
dead
think
by
most
now.
of us might have been.
yeah, exactly.
All right, man.
Shoot.
Thank you so much. That was so great.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. And you know what? All this coronavirus business is going to take care of itself, and we'll find a show to meet up at, and we'll do this in person.
Okay, buddy. Sounds good.
All right, brother.
Okay.
Keep in touch, okay?
Will do. Always. You have a great night.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Here we are again, back where we began, picking up pieces. When the final curtain call calls out for us all, you better be leaving.